What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Now, we finally got some more Congress news, folks. Yay! I've been on hold just doing these random stories, just one after another. You know, the election is dying down and everything is starting to ramp back up. Congress is back, so we got some news coming out of Congress, out of the Senate to be specific. But before we get into all that, if I could get you guys to do me a big favor and smash that like button for me, I sure would appreciate that. Sure would appreciate it, if you don't mind. And if you're new around here and you like staying up to date with exactly how you're being manipulated by the corporate press, this is the place to be. This is what we do. We go over these corporate press news articles, we analyze this, break it all down so you can get the news, for one, and then figure out how they're trying to manipulate you by lying to you and manipulating the facts. That is what they do. That is the game that they play, and that's what I am here for, to point these things out. So if you're interested in that, subscribe. Almost ran out of breath just now. That is right. I don't have very big lungs, I guess. But, you know, it is what it is. Share this video anywhere and everywhere you can. Greatly appreciated if y'all could do that, because y'all are the only ones that are going to make me grow, as a matter of fact. But without any further ado, let's get into this thing right quick. Manchin, Welch unveil bill placing term limits on Supreme Court. So here we go. They never stopped doing this, right? They're wanting to pack the court. Of course, not this one, but Democrats. That's what Joe Biden's little proposal came out with, you know, term limits and wanting to pack the courts and all this other stuff. It's like ridiculousness, right? So we got Joe Manchin. He left the Democratic Party. That's right. A lot of Democrats are leaving the Democratic Party because, well, for one, they're losers right now currently, but for two, they've gone insane, as a matter of fact. You know, but, you know, of course, that kind of goes without saying when you look and see exactly what the Democratic Party does. Now, I'm not saying the Republicans ain't bad either. Republicans got their issues, but Democrats have lost their freaking minds. But let's go ahead and get into this thing right quick, because we got a lot to break down here, folks. West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin and Vermont Senator Peter Welch have introduced a resolution to impose 18-year term limits on Supreme Court justices, which would require some turnover on the high court every 2 years. So this is a very specific setup. Basically, it wouldn't affect any justice that's on the circuit right now, but we'll get to that. Specifically, their resolution calls for a constitutional amendment to institute non-renewable 18-year term for new Supreme Court justices, with a new term starting every 2 years. Basically, what they're saying is they would offset the term limits. So whenever you get a new one in, that's 18 years for this person, and when somebody drops out, they basically try to offset these so that every 2 years we get a new Supreme Court justice, making the system, in a way, much more fair, but it kind of depends on who is in office, right? Once again, it's kind of not much different than what it is, because it's just the luck of the draw. However, this gives the opposition party, you know, both parties essentially, you know, equal amount of time to get to it. You know, if you get two Democratic presidents in a row, then a Republican, they'll still get a chance to put a Supreme Court justice in there. It's kind of fair, and I kind of see that. 18-year term limits, I'm kind of okay with that as well. Right? Now, what they could have done is what I thought they should have done. Instead of term limits, specifically, we could just put age restrictions on there, because some of these people, they get old, they get senile, and we don't want that, right? You could have somebody get appointed. I'm sorry, I almost said elected. Get appointed to the Supreme Court at an old age, and they turn senile halfway through their term. You know what I mean? So I think age limits would be a good idea instead of term limits, as a matter of fact. But, you know, that's just my opinion. But what do I know? I just run my mouth to a camera on the internet. That's all I do, is talk politics. What do I know? I'm not a lawmaker. I've never been a lawyer. None of that. The current lifetime appointment structure is broken and fuels polarizing confirmation battles and political posturing that has eroded public confidence in the highest court in our land. Manchin, who is retiring at the end of the year, said in a statement. Yeah, that would be right, because they are the ones that politicize all of these appointment processes, right? They're the ones that get up there and try to find all the dirt they can find on somebody. They'll bring all this stuff up. They'll go and find some random person who has made some sort of allegation, right? Baseless claim, Doesn't matter. They'll make stuff up. Look at Brett Kavanaugh, as a matter of fact. They just make this stuff up. They are the ones that do this. And then they're talking about, oh, it's too politicized. Like, what? And now you're wanting more of this? You're wanting to have these every 2 years on an offset? And it's too politicized? What kind of sense does that make, my guy? Like, come on, give us some better reasoning than this. This is ridiculous. Our amendment maintains that there shall never be more than 9 justices and would gradually create regular vacancies on the court, allowing the president to appoint a new justice every 2 years with the advice and consent of the United States Senate, he said. Yeah, that's very standard. That's a good idea. You don't want to pack the court. Welsh, a member of the Senate Judiciary Committee, said the measure is intended to restore public trust in our nation's most powerful court. Now, I wonder why people don't trust the Supreme Court. I wonder who could be filling the American people's heads with the idea that the Supreme Court has failed its broken system. Oh, they're too politicized. It's these exact same people. They get up on national TV, the corporate press, Democrats and Republicans both. They get up there and say, oh, blah, 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 blah. This is a stupid ruling. Making people lose their confidence in our judiciary system. Supreme Court's the highest court in the land, for crying out loud. These people rule, according to the law, according to the Constitution. They're not supposed to be partisan. But who are the people that come out and talk about, oh, the court's too partisan. We got too many conservative justices on the Supreme Court. These same people that are proposing these amendments. This is just insanity. These excuses they're giving. Like, I like the idea of the term limits. Like I said, maybe age limits, term limits. I don't know about that one, but age limits, yeah, I'm fine with that. Having them offset to every 2 years, I'm fine with that as well. That's a good idea. You don't want to pack the court. Hey, I'm good with that. Still got to go through the Senate confirmation process. Lovely. Loving all of it. But come on, you guys and your excuses are ridiculous. Setting term limits for Supreme Court justices will cut down on political gamesmanship and is common sense reform supported by a majority of Americans, he said. And I wonder how they know that. The proposed amendment would not alter the tenure of sitting justices who would continue to serve as long as they desire or until incapacitated. It would implement a transition period during which 18-year terms would begin every 2 years regardless of when a current justice leaves the bench, according to an explanation issued by the senator's office. When a current justice retires, the newly appointed justice would serve out the remainder of the next 18-year term. It would keep the total number of justices at 9. The senators pointed out that public confidence in the Supreme Court has plummeted in recent years, as only 16% of Americans said they had a great deal of confidence in it after the 2024 term. Now, there's something I want to break down with that right quick before we go any further. I can't stand, a lot of the longtime viewers know this, I can't stand when they make blanket statements like this. They'll get a poll and, whatever the results of the poll, 20% of Americans think this. No. Make it correct. Like, don't lie, because that's not true. It is not true when they pull a poll and they get the results or whatever, and they'll say 16% of Americans don't have trust in the Supreme Court. That's not true. They're lying to you. We know just how far off base these polls can be. Just look at the presidential election in the past. Just look at any election. The polls are always off. Now, I wonder why that is. Well, maybe because they only poll 1,500 people out of 340 million Americans. And you're trying to tell me that is the consensus of the vast majority of the country. Because you call up 1,600 people and you get their opinion, and you're trying to make me believe that that's the vast majority of the... No, I'm sorry. That's not how reality works. That's why I can't stand these polls, and I can't stand the corporate press for manipulating the facts. This is one of the manipulations, folks. They do this. They'll come out with these polls, and instead of saying, 16% of polled people, they'll say 16% of Americans, because these people are Americans. That's right. That's the manipulation right there. If they were to poll every single voting American, I think we would probably get different results. And also at the same time, it's these people, the senators, congressmen, they get up on national television when the Supreme Court makes a decision that they don't like. Oh, we've also all of a sudden lost confidence in the Supreme Court. They can't do their job. Blah, 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 blah. And then the American people hear this on the news, and they'll be like, "Oh, well, did you hear the Supreme Court? They're a bunch of corrupt people over there, y'all." And they'll go on just running their freaking mouth. It's ridiculous. These are the same people that politicize the process, and then they're talking about, "Oh, we're trying to reform the process so it won't be politicized." It's like, come on, really? You're trying to pull that over on who? Oh, on us. Oh, yeah, good job. Let's keep going. An Annenberg Public Policy Center survey of 1,600 U.S. adults conducted in May found that 68% of those people polled support setting term limits for justices, and 71% support requiring justices to retire at a certain age. I happen to fall within that 71%. That is a great idea to me. Age limits on this. I think we should have age limits on all of government, for crying out loud. I mean, just look at what we got going on with Joe Biden over here, right? Yeah, we need age limits. We need cognitive tests when these people do get old. Like, I understand, right? You got somebody like Donald Trump versus somebody like Joe Biden. Donald Trump, you give him a cognitive test, he'll probably pass it with flying colors. You give the same test to Joe Biden, yeah, not so much, right? So we've got two people that are 3 years different in age. One of them is pretty cognitively aware. The other one, not so much. Not trying to be mean. That's just the reality. I mean, that's just how it is. I'm going to be in that state one day. You're going to be in that state one day. So, I mean, we're not trying to make fun of these people. None of that. It's just a fact of reality, right? So Joe Biden's not all there. Cognitive tests would be a good idea. I think when some of these politicians and bureaucrats or whatever, they get up to a certain age, I think every 6, 8 years, 2 years, whatever, cognitive test. Something just how acute, how is their agility, for crying out there, their mental agility, right? I think that's not a bad idea. Let me know what you think down in the comment section. A variety of former federal judges and legal scholars support Manchin and Welch's proposal. Diane P. Wood, a retired U.S. Circuit Judge for the 7th Circuit Court of Appeals, pointed out that only one state allows judges to serve lifetime tenures without restriction, and that most apex courts around the world have implemented term limits. It's time for the United States to make this change to the federal judiciary. The proposed joint resolution does so in a manner consistent with our constitutional design, Wood said. Kermit Roosevelt, a professor at the University of Pennsylvania's Carey Law School, said the senator's proposal offers a nonpartisan fix to an appointment process that our political parties have broken in ways the framers could not anticipate, referring to the politicization of the judiciary. That is right. It's these senators themselves that are the ones politicizing the process constantly. They want to drum up all this garbage, just ridiculousness, right? Like, the corporate press is really, really bad about this. They're doing it very strongly with Donald Trump's cabinet picks. Now, we did not, I repeat, did not go through this same process with Joe Biden's cabinet picks. You had a couple of them, sure, but it wasn't anywhere near this. I mean, they bring up just ridiculous allegations that have been investigated, as a matter of fact, by the FBI or local police or whoever, and said there's no crime here, but it doesn't stop them from saying stuff like, oh, well, they dropped their bid for being attorney general because of these allegations. It's like, No, I'm sorry. It's because of you guys politicizing all this garbage and just continually repeating these garbage allegations. Like, for what? They're allegations. They're old allegations. They're not relevant anymore, as a matter of fact. So why are you still continually spouting this nonsense? They don't care. They want people to lose trust in that person. They're just constantly doing this. As a matter of fact, we're going to be talking about that in my next video a little bit, because I've got a gem of an article for you guys. So make sure you guys stay tuned to my next video, which will be coming out first thing in the morning. Well, I'll say first thing, probably like 8 or 9 o'clock. It just depends on, whatever I'm feeling whenever I upload it. Sometimes I click 8 o'clock, sometimes I click 9 o'clock. But yeah, I record both of my videos back to back. I upload one that night, and then I upload the other one and schedule it to go live the next morning. That's how I've always done it, because, I'm not going to sit there and upload a video first thing in the morning. Plus, I'm not going to sit there and upload a video and then an hour later upload another video, and then that's it for the whole day. Spread them out a little bit, you know what I mean? But y'all let me know what y'all think about all this. But y'all let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comments section. I'm sorry, I know I said that twice. I just wanted to, try to be a little bit more entertaining, I guess you could say, but seriously, like, these people are just insane, if you ask me. Like, oh, it's been politicized, so we're going to try to depoliticize it. You guys are the ones that did it, as a matter of fact, but, that's neither here nor there at this point. Do you think it's a good idea to have term limits for the Supreme Court? Let me know what you think. That's all I got for this one. I want to thank everybody for watching. I really do appreciate it, guys. And y'all don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, share this video anywhere and everywhere you can. That's the only way I'm going to grow. But y'all let me know. And y'all try to have a good day. Stay legitical. Peace.